Welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast.
It's not over till that bitch is dead.
Let's delve into that a bit deeper.
I'm going to be like the peacekeeper between you two tonight.
Yeah, fuck with the original.
Yeah, don't fuck with the original.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast, part of the You Run Podcast Network. My name is Katie, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Chantel. Hi, Chantel.
Hi!
So we're going to be doing something a little different for you guys for the next month or so. We've decided to do a little mini-series covering some of the incredible films showcased at the UK Film Festival FrightFest. We're so excited to introduce you to these films and give you a bit of our insight. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy.
Are we ready for number 2?
So ready.
So we are covering Cara, which is directed by Hayden Hewitt. A history of abuse, a roommate coming apart of a mental health seams, a failed career in online sex work with dismissive viewers, a father incapable of communication, and a well-meaning mother who reaches out but does nothing. Determined that she will not be sent back to an institution where she believes she was assaulted, Cara has a plan. One to ensure the doctors and her mother can't put her back in Sunnyside Hospital. Enlisting the help of a subservient punter and a therapist, Cara sets the wheels in motion for her escape strategy with brutal and horrific consequences. Almost so beautiful. Okay, what did you think of this one?
So this is a bit of a tricky one for me. I know you feel the same because we spoke about this earlier. I thought everything about what I saw of it, before I watched it, was so exciting to me. I was really excited for this film. I thought the poster was amazing. It's kind of almost giving like promising young woman vibes. I was kind of like, oh cool, okay, this is where we're going to go with this. It didn't deliver massively for me as much as I wanted it to. Again, like I want to start with the positives. Like for example, I think Elle O'Hara, who played Cara, I think she was particularly good. I think she portrayed the character very well, and you really kind of like bought into her as well. Especially with like, she's such a complicated character that you sort of feel one way about her, and then suddenly it's just a completely different way. So I really liked her, and I know we'll get into it, but I also thought the SFX was particularly good as well. So those were the two things that I thought were the strongest, but I think there were other things about it that did bring it down for me. But what about you?
I think the same. I was really excited about this one. I don't know in particular what it was about the sort of lead up, but I just thought this was going to be a great film. And it I liked how they kind of showed Cara having perceiving the world in different ways. I liked how they that opening was almost like something out of Saw. Like it went in hard and heavy. And it does end very grotesque, and as you say, like SFX, fair play. But there was just a lot in the middle that almost kind of felt, again, kind of throw everything at it, see what sticks. And I think there was, as we were talking about, like we were saying earlier, like the roommate, I think that was a really good device. But then there was other parts like her father or her mum, and like there was just all these characters. And almost too much. And so it was a bit of a harder one to kind of, they almost gave themselves too much to get right. And it's, again, we've said it with horror, sometimes it's better to just keep it simple. And I think that's where this one failed.
I think completely agree
failed
with you.
Is a harsh word.
But I think, I totally agree with you. I think that like throwing everything at the wall is a perfect way to put it. I think that in sort of the last part of the film and the last couple of scenes, it was almost like there was a bit of a panic where it was kind of like
shit, we need to wrap this up
and we need to, like you say, throw everything at it. And there wasn't that same sort of tone throughout the film. And I know that horror films, obviously a lot of horror films do that. There's a huge tone shift. That's what makes it like horrifying. That's what makes it shocking. I understand that, but I think with particularly this film, I think the such a huge tone shift didn't really work.
Yeah,
I think there needed to be a bit more of a build up there in the middle.
Yeah.
And like I've spoken about, you know, films going from 0 to 100 on this podcast a lot, and I do often appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I just think particularly with this film and what it was about, I don't think it matched quite well, if that makes any sense. I just think there was kind of like you needed something in the middle to kind of build you up a bit.
Yeah, and I think
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think some of the supporting characters as well, like they had so much going on.
Yes,
it was just like everyone had so much going on.
Yeah,
that actually you kind of didn't know what was going on because so much was. And it's kind of funny because it says like, oh, you know, Cara sets the wheels in motion for her escape strategy, and it's quite a simple plan.
Yeah,
like to be fair, like it seems like, you know, oh, we took all this time to build up to it.
Yeah,
but there wasn't loads of steps. It wasn't the Italian job. There was only a couple of things going on, and they were quite simple, quite grotesque. But and unfortunately, it did rely on her, like, you know, trusting other people, which was an interesting concept given where she was at.
Yes.
But again, it was hard to know where she was at because some things do. Yeah, no spoilers. Some things do make you question kind of like how much, because it says like where she believes she was assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, hang on, like, you know, wasn't she? And again, so it does raise some of those questions.
It does, yeah.
Which isn't, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I had a hard time with that, where it's like, yeah.
No, I get it. No,
I thought was going.
No. I understand what you're saying. I think, and especially what you were saying earlier with the characters.
Yeah.
I think that like I understand each and every character. They did serve a purpose in their own way, but I don't necessarily think I'm sort of going to contradict myself here, where I say they serve a purpose, but at the same time, were they 100% needed? I found myself watching this film and like thinking, oh, okay, another character's being introduced. Like, I felt like this may have worked better with a smaller cast and it still would have been as effective.
Yeah.
And like you say, there were so many kind of things going on and they could have just stuck to this one thing where she's planning her. And I understand you needed to like look at the depths of her psychosis and stuff. But I think it could have just been trimmed down and it could have been stripped down and just been a lot more simpler.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's so funny with all the other characters. Like, it's called Cara. Like, just focus on Cara. Like, we don't. Yes, the other characters are needed, but they're supporting. We don't need to know their whole backstory. Maybe their whole backstory is a bit exaggeration, but yeah, it is that. It's like we don't. Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
We just want to focus on Cara. Like, know her story.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't. I don't know. I do feel like there was something. I don't know how to word it, because it was like, obviously, again, like you say, like psychosis, and there was a lot of kind of like looking at mental health with this. I just don't think they went the right way about it, and it was almost like too easy to just, you know, oh, well, that's because of their mental health. I said, well, no, because not everyone with bad mental health suddenly goes and does this. Like, and I think it's almost sometimes used too much in horror and not correctly, because I know, like, obviously when we're talking about Traumatica, actually they looked at a lot of like generational trauma and a little bit mental health, but well, actually, we will say, they did cover that as well. But it was kind of, I don't know, it was just different. It was like one or two characters rather than this, where it was like half the cast.
Yeah, I agree. No, there was a lot. There was a lot going on. I mean, do you have like a wow moment of the film? Is there anything that stood out to you particularly?
I probably would say the SFX. I think because it goes 0 to 100 at the end, it does leave a lot of room for the SFX to play. And you can tell they kind of definitely enjoyed it. I don't necessarily agree with like how the SFX was used. Not because the SFX was bad, but because of like, I was like, that didn't need to happen. But I enjoy seeing it happen. So yes, I'm going to go with that. What about yourself?
Nice. I mean, I probably would have copied you and said SFX, but I will be different. I'd say Ella Hara. I think she was good. She really carried this film, I think. I just thought you did kind of believe her as a character. And so I did appreciate like how good she was. So I'd say her, I think.
Okay, lovely. And what about score out of 5?
Score out of 5. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. So yeah, not my favorite in the FrightFest series, but I do understand why it's at FrightFest. I think it serves a purpose to be there, but I just think for me it was just too many things that I guess slightly frustrated me about the film that kind of brought that score down ever so slightly. But I do appreciate, I think the concept when stripped back is a great one.
Yeah.
And again, I think the majority of the acting was solid. And also, SFX was, I think, great. So yeah, that will be my reason for a 2. But yeah, what about you?
I think I'm going to go 2 as well. Like you say, it absolutely has a place in horror.
Sure.
I just, again, had it just been stripped back a little bit and gone one way, it could have been a good for you go girl film.
Yeah.
Had it gone slightly the other way, it could have been, investigative. Had it gone another, like they could have pulled it back and gone one way and stuck with it. Instead, they tried to do quite a lot of things. And I think that kind of let them down. And I've said that with quite a few horrors where it's like when people try too much. So yeah, for me, that is kind of like what let it down. It could what could have been is those extra 3 points.
Yeah, for sure.
Who are we going to recommend it to?
It's a difficult one because it doesn't really fall into a particular category.
That's what we're saying. It almost comes into too many categories, but not enough into those.
Yeah, I think maybe again kind of like mystery, because we don't really know. There are so many things that get revealed throughout the film.
Yeah.
That we don't really know what there's a lot of questions that are raised. So yeah, maybe someone that's kind of into, again, I would say maybe sort of thriller.
I was going to say true crime again.
True crime, yeah.
Although I feel like there's been a lot from FrightFest where we've said true crime.
Yeah.
But I think because you do see a lot of filmmakers these days trying and succeeding, but to show horror of the real life situations. So actually, I think, and especially when they're on lower budgets and when they're on, 2 actors in a room, I think those true crime themes really come through because. Yeah,
they do.
Like that's really real. You don't have to worry about trying to
real.
CGI bloody UFOs or whatever and aliens. Like it's much, it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, when you look at the real world problems, which some of these in the film, there are a lot of like real world problems that come into play, and that does often make it scarier because it really does happen. Like you say, it's not. Fucking aliens or the thing. Like
it's not something you can just go to sleep at night knowing it's not going to be a problem.
Exactly.
These are real problems.
Real problems, yeah.
So I do think, that kind of true crime thriller category again.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna be like,
but yeah, that sounds like your type of film. If you want a bit of a gore fest, then something a little bit twisted. Go for it. But do look after yourself though watching this one. There are definitely some triggers in there. So yes, do make sure you look after yourself before you view it.